New hair. Who dis? Rice cake. Clifton. Ready to work. Hello everyone. Welcome to Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tyresha Monet. Today we will be talking about the Church of Wells and whether or not this is just a religious organization that has some pretty strict practices or if it's a cult, like a lot of people seem to think it is. The Church of Wells, I personally had never heard of it before I did research for it. It is located in Wells, Texas, formerly known as the Church of Arlington, or You Must Be Born Again Ministries. Like I said before, it is grammar. It is an American religious group located in Wells, Texas, which is about 2 hours and 34 minutes away from Houston, Texas, where I reside. So it's pretty close. Not too well known, but I guess well enough known. So Wells, Texas is pretty much a small town. It's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody. In 2017, there was an estimate of only 813 people living there. And I had more people at my high school than that whole entire town has. So that's any indication of how small Wells, Texas is, then neck roll. So this church group is led by 3 men, Sean Morris, Ryan Ringnauld, and Jacob Gardner. And they are former street preachers in their early 30s, and they're basically considered the elders of the church. The Church of Wells is made up of approximately 200 members, and a lot of those members are being young adult. A lot of those members, oh my goodness, a lot of those members are young adults and children. So the Church of Wells promotes a revivalist approach to Christianity, and they believe that most of Christianity that's presented today in America is a darkened generation burned under a mountain of apostasy. So basically they don't agree with how Christians are running things, I guess, in the rest of America. So they're like, hey, this little small town of 800 people, let's change things, let's make a difference. And it seems that they are, but I don't necessarily know if it's a good one. So the people who reside in the members who reside in the Church of Wells pretty much deny a lot of forms of entertainment and leisure in order to pray a lot of the time. And many of their sessions tend to last several hours a day. They also partake in fasting and deep loathing of their sins. A Church of Wells member is considered to be saved only after they've demonstrated the correct fruits of salvation to the elders' approval. So basically you gotta repent your sins enough, and the elders have to be like, okay, you're saved now. There's a certain verse that the Church of Wells predominantly uses that they use to guideline how they teach. And I'm gonna read it straight from my notes because I can't seem to memorize this quote by heart. The verse is, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, and his own life also, he cannot be a disciple, which is Luke 14:26, located in the New Testament. According to the New Living Translation, that translates to, if you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else. Your father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. Which, to me, right off the bat, is kind of like, to me, I feel like that verse contradicts one of the Ten Commandments, which is honor thy mother and father. I'm not sure what commandment that is. I think it's the 5th commandment, but don't quote me on that. I'm definitely not, like, I definitely I wouldn't know is what I'm trying to say. I'm sure there is a definite interpretation to that, but since I'm not an interpreter of the Bible, I'm not any type of like religious person who can give you like a clear understanding of what that means. I'm not gonna go too deep into it because I'm not trying to offend nobody who's Christian, but to me, just reading that and seeing how there's a commandment talking about honor thy mother and father, and you know, Luke 14:26 is basically saying to me, if you really love me, you'll shun everybody else. It's just kind of, it kind of strikes me wrong, especially the people who are accused of being a cult uses that specific verse to predominantly focus their teachings on. But I could be wrong. Again, this is just my interpretation, and I'm in no way like a person who can like teach about religion. So obviously the Church of Wells, or the COW, is shrouded in controversy if there are rumors or beliefs from people that they are a cult. So in May of 2012, investigators were called to an apartment where a 3-day-old infant had died. The 6 adults that were present in the apartment were all members of the church. So the baby was sick, and sick to the point where it couldn't breathe and its extremities were turning blue. And instead of calling the police and someone to come help with that and taking the baby to the emergency room, they prayed for the baby for 15 hours before contacting the police. So of course, after 15 hours, if the baby is turning blue, they're not going to be alive after that, which is dumb to me. But I know that, you know, some religious people, they are not a fan of Western medicine. They believe that prayer is going to fix the problem, which, you know, if you decide to pray, that is totally fine. That's a personal choice. But if the baby is turning blue and you're praying and nothing is happening, I just feel like you should go to the hospital. Like, that's the only logical friggin' thing to do. That was definitely one of the things that got people to be a little iffy of the COW, especially the community members who live in Wells, Texas, or in the surrounding areas and are not part of the church. It's just kind of like, why would you let that baby die? You know, like, there was a possibility that that baby could have been saved, and instead you let it turn blue. I keep calling it it because I'm not sure whether the infant was a boy or a girl. When I did my research, I could not tell. So in July of 2013, a 26-year-old woman by the name of Katherine Grove disappeared from her home in Arkansas without notice. And she abandoned her car and belongings. And when she finally was found, she was found heavily guarded by the members of the Church of Wells. She claimed she wasn't being held against her will, and she decided she would go out on her own to the Church of Wells and seek out the Lord. Now, I will insert a clip from the Dr. Phil show. He went inside the Church of Wells and he did some interviews of former members, and he interviewed the parents of Katherine Grove, and they were very concerned for her. So I'll go ahead and insert that clip now.
In April of 2015, I received a call that Katherine had escaped the Church of Wells. When I came into the sheriff's office, Katherine looked extremely thin. She wouldn't say anything when I talked to her. She just looked at me. When the sheriff asked Katherine, "Would you like to leave right now and go home to see your mother and father?" Katherine nodded her head yes.
We know that Katherine, our daughter, has tried to escape at least 4 times. We've heard 911 calls.
Warren Sheriff's Office.
I need somebody to pick me up.
Where are you?
I-69.
We've seen body cam footage.
I'm just trying to get help from her to get a ride somewhere.
I feel horrified. that my daughter is trying to leave this someplace with strangers. I feel helpless that I can't help her.
So April 2nd of 2015, Katherine Grove left the Church of Wells and she went back home to Arkansas with her family. But it didn't last very long. She ended up returning to the Church of Wells only 12 days later on April 14th of 2015. Of course, in the clip you saw that her parents claimed that she tried to leave 4 different times. When she left initially in April of 2015, I'm not sure what count that was with her attempted escapes, but obviously they've pretty much got her very fearful if she keeps going back to somewhere where she initially left. Or maybe she really just likes to be there. Who am I to say? Who is anybody to say? I guess her parents have a say, they say. So in April of 2014, Elder Sean Morris, one of the elders and leaders of the church, and a member by the name of Taylor Clifton were injured after a physical altercation during the Wells homecoming parade. So witnesses report that the 2 men were causing a public disturbance by preaching incredibly harsh things and saying "you're going to hell" to children, parents, and other churchgoers. But you definitely cross a line when you say you're going to hell to kids. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, kids are so innocent. And they don't do well, they can do stuff wrong, don't get me wrong. But like, to tell a child that they're going to hell for absolutely no reason, like you're enjoying a parade right now. So that's definitely iffy. I don't know if it's cult-like, but it's definitely, you're not in your right mind to tell a child that. There was basically, 4 men part of the situation. It was Sean Morris, Taylor Clifton, and the other 2 men who got into a physical altercation with each other. So Sean Morris ended up in crutches for a little bit. Taylor Clifton got 5 stitches, but nobody really went to the hospital and no charges were filed after the incident, but 2 men were detained, but no charges. And one of the last major incidents that shrouds the Church of Wells in controversy, you know what, I'm quitting making videos. That just did it right there. Goodbye. I lied. I'm back. Okay. I said something about controversy. So one of the other major incidents, or one of the last major incidents that I saw where the Church of Wells was shrouded in controversy, I said it again, oh my God. Shrouded in controversy, was June 28th of 2015. 6 members of the Church of Wells interrupted a church service conducted at Lakewood Church, which is located right here in Houston, and they called Pastor Joel Osteen a liar, disrupting the service. He was in the middle of talking and they basically were heckling him and they had to be escorted out of the building, which definitely is just kind of like, why would you do that? It's suspicious. And they've definitely, if you go onto the Church of Wells website, they've basically have like rebuttals against all of the controversies that have surrounded them, and the rebuttals are videos and they are just very eerie. They're creepy. They have this like black background behind them and they're talking really slow. It's definitely something to like tune into if you guys want to look into it. I'll link it in the description if you want to go check out some of their rebuttals to some of these things. I haven't like watched a full video through because it's eerie to watch, like straight up, it's eerie. Sorry for the camera shake. Dr. Phil has investigated a claim from a former member of the Church of Wells. He claims that he was drugged and basically kind of forced into the church. So I'll include a clip of that right now just so that Dr. Phil can explain it a little bit better than I can.
In Texas, where a young man named Jordan, an outreach minister himself, who was really very serious about his religion, his relationship with the Lord, and he's on the streets down there reaching out to college students. And two men approach him that turn out to be elders of the Church of Wells and want to talk to him about his beliefs, that sort of thing. And he goes with them. They're talking about this. They give him a bottle of water, and he now says that he believes that bottle of water was laced with drugs. Next thing he knows, he's driving for hours, and he goes to sleep, wakes up at the Church of Wells, and he says, as you just heard, that he was habitually drugged. He was there for 5 days. His family, of course, is going crazy. They don't know where he is. They find him by tracking his cell phone, and so they find this Church of Wells. They check it out on the internet, and it just pops up, cult, dangerous, caution, stay away, stay away. Right. They go there, and it takes hours before these people will even let them see or talk to their son and brother. His brother Ian was out there and said that when they see him, he's just in a trance. His eyes are red, he can barely speak, he's walking around like a zombie. And they finally get him away from that property and get him to go into town for lunch, and he starts to clear his head. They give him food and water, and they say this is a dangerous cult. He talks about being drugged the whole time he was there. He talks about being in a big room surrounded by mattresses and people walking around in a trance-like state and being pounded with these scriptures the whole time and these beliefs and the commitment. And he said it was just very, very scary.
Yeah.
The church denies it all. They say we're simply a church, and people are just misinterpreting us.
Oh my God.
So basically, those are the main things, the main points about the Church of Wells that I could find. Whether or not I think it's a cult, I'm not going to definitively say that the Church of Wells is a cult because, of course, I don't know, and I'm not just going to sit here and bash and be like, that's a cult. But there are about 6 characteristics of a group that could determine whether or not this is a cult. Number 1, being exclusivity. I believe if they're open to just offering random people on the street bottles of water, I wouldn't say that they're that exclusive. They seem to be pretty open with themselves and having people join. So I'm gonna say they're an X on exclusivity. So number 2 is isolation. Yes, I do think they get a check mark for isolation. I do believe that they isolated the former member from his family when they were trying to get in contact with him and reach him. So they do get a check mark for that. 3 is special knowledge. I would say that a church group has some sort of special knowledge about the subject that they're trying to get other people to believe. So yeah, special knowledge, they get a check mark for that. Indoctrination. Dr. Phil mentioned that, the indoctrination thing, when he was explaining it in his clip. So they definitely get a check mark for that. Number 5 is groupthink. I definitely do think that they have groupthink. They want the churchgoers to all believe in the same thing and want the same things. And 6 is appearance, which, I mean, I don't think you can really go with appearance when you're talking about a cult. I mean, we can all dress in like maroon colored clothes and not be in a cult. So I don't know if appearance is a definitive way to say that it's a cult. They did get 4 out of 6 characteristics. So whether it's a cult or not, I don't know. But to me, personally, my own opinion, not fact, only opinion, it's looking a little cultish to me. Sorry, Church of Wells, you're looking a little cultish. Not sure I'd be down with the shits, just saying. I don't think I would. But that's it from me today. Hope you liked it, and I will see you guys next time, next Thursday. Because if you didn't understand the pattern here, I post on Thursdays. You know, if you've been paying attention, I'm gonna have a quiz question next time. Yeah, you gotta take tests when you watch. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'll see you guys next time.